The Bay Area of Northern California, one of the most picturesque areas in America. The Oakland Bay Bridge in the background serves as a link between the thriving cities of San Francisco and Oakland. And underneath the famous Golden Gate Bridge lies one of the most traveled through waterways in the United States. We're here for today's third stop on the 1981 Pro Bowlers Tour. Live for the 20th consecutive year, ABC Sports presents the Pro Bowlers Tour. Today, the finals of the $95,000 ARC Alameda Open, as these 5 bowlers compete for the $12,000 first prize. In 5th place from Cleveland, Ohio, one of the most improved players on the Pro Bowlers Tour, looking for his first PBA title, Jeff Morin. In 4th place from Bedford, Oregon, winner of 11 PBA titles, the always colorful and intense Marshall Holman. In 3rd place from Van Nuys, California, one of the most consistent players over the last 8 years, Jay Robinson. In 2nd place from Dublin, California, the all-time career PBA money and title winner, Earl Anthony. An hour later from Fairway, Kansas, in only his 3rd year on the Pro Bowlers Tour and looking for his first PBA title, Bob Handley. It's an absolutely gorgeous day as we look across the bay toward San Francisco. We're in Alameda, next to Oakland, home of the Raiders. There are a lot of Raider fans here. But there are a great number of bowling fans here for our 3rd stop, the 8th year that we have come to Mel's Bowl. I'm Chris Schenkel, and what a house this has been over the years. It's been a high-scoring house this week, and we expect a very exciting show as we cover it live. We've had 300 games, and one was rolled on Wednesday by my colleague, Nelson Burton Jr. Bo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell us why the great story.
Chris, this pair of lanes is ideal. We had an average of 249 5 years ago on this pair, and again, we expect high scores this week. The reason being, a player like Bob Handley, a power player, the 3rd consecutive week we've seen a power player in the #1 position, can roll a ball where it slides on the front part of the lane, then goes out real wide, and with the dry back end, you can see a tremendous break. And when the players can break that ball very sharply at the back end, you get big pin carry, very few taps, results tremendously high scores.
Okay, Bo, we haven't had a 300 game on national television since 1974, and it was right here. Today, a total purse of $90,000, $12,000 will go to the winner, and there you see the rest of the breakdown, 7-5, 4,500, and 4. In our very first match, great contrast between Jeff Morin and Marshall Holman. We'll be back with that first match after this.
We're not just a couple of animals who can only play football. We can be civilized, too.
Tennis is sophisticated, but you still got to be fast on your feet. So we still drink light beer from Miller. It's got 1/3 less calories than the regular beer, and it's less filling.
And it really tastes great.
Now that we played singles, we're looking for a nice, friendly game of doubles.
Tennis, anyone?
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
I needed the mileage of a Toyota Cressida, but it didn't have enough room. What I needed was the room of a Volvo, but it didn't get good enough mileage. What I needed was a citation. What I didn't need was the price. What I needed was a miracle. What I found was a Fairmont.
Ford Fairmont. It makes a world of sense.
A world of better ideas coming from Ford.
I've gotten over 100,000 miles with my Mercury Marquis, and it's all been with Quaker State oil.
Does Quaker State really help cars last?
I got this new little car to help me save gas. I'm counting on Quaker State to help me save the car. 8,000 miles already. This little engine works hard, but with Quaker State, no problems. More than 100,000 miles with regular care and Quaker State all the way.
There's a very simple reason why Quaker State is America's #1 selling motor oil. Quaker State helps cars last.
And we're in Alameda, California, the South Shore of the Bay, in our first match, head-to-head. The winner advancing, loser getting $4,000 on the left, Jeff Morin. Non-winner going against 11-time champion Marshall Holman. 2nd time this year, and only the 3rd stop that he's been on our telecast live. Shooting first on the left lane. And he has a lot of fans here. 5'9", 140, a 26-year-old, youngest of the 5 finalists today. As now we get a better look at 35-year-old Jeff Morin, 6'3", 170 pounds from Cleveland, Ohio. headpin hit and everything dropped.
Well, we said there are great scoring lanes, and one of the reasons is tremendous pin action. The pins here are very light at Mel's Bowl, and they move almost on any type of hit. We saw Marshall Holman hit the light splasher, a ripper hit, and Jeff Morin got a tremendous break on his first shot on national television, right through the nose, and pushed him over for a strike.
As we look at his bowling hand, at 2 fingers heavily taped. They've been bleeding all week. Oh, tough break. Leaving the 7-pin. And earlier we talked to Jeff Morin about his particular style.
Well, I feel it. I take a 5-step approach, and I have to take the first 3 steps very slow. This gets me to the line right, and I feel I bowl well when I keep slow on the first 3 steps.
And that's something every player has to guard against, trying to get to the line too quickly.
Cross lane now. A little bit of a hook on the ball. Jeff Morin, who averaged 224.6 this week. He has a spare in his second frame. Now Marshall Holman will be shooting, averaging 225.5, number 4, out of this huge field in Northern California. So it's a big double for the Oregonian, and he takes a quick 10-pin lead.
Chris, Marshall's a sly fox. They practiced for an hour before we went on the telecast. Marshall Holman and Jeff Morin were playing the inside line around the second arrow. About 1 minute before we went on the air, Marshall Holman jumped to the outside line where he gets much more break, and it seems like he has a real good trajectory to the pocket. The left-hand lane will hook a little more. The right-hand lane will be a little stiffer. It's just the lay of the boards causing the left-hand lane to hook a little more.
And
Holman taking a little extra time.
Getting a re-rack now on the approval of Harry Golden, our tournament director. His earnings, you saw them there. Marshall Holman, $45,490 last year. Thus far this year, $11,700. The winner today, if he can go all the way, $12 grand. Oh, Brooklyn leaving the 6, and Marshall told us about his style earlier.
It's the 5-step approach that gets the momentum going for me. I take a long slide, and I think the key to my game is that I stay down at the foul line with good extension.
He's intense. I tell you, he's also bright, this professional bowler who loves the snow ski. Hand problems for both bowlers. One caught in a van door.
Marshall slammed his in his car door. It seemed to help his bowling, and Jeff Morin just cut his fingers early in the tournament and has suffered all the way through.
Well, that one got away from him, and at the line, he sheer disgust, but a Brooklyn strike, he'll take it. Trailing now by 9, Jeff Morin of Cleveland.
One of the great reasons that the players score so well here is they have an option of playing either the inside line between the second and third arrow and sliding the ball into the pocket with a little hold areas. The center of the lane has a less surface friction than the outside, or you can play a trajectory such as Marshall Holman, the extreme outside line and a tremendous hook.
So now a double for Morin, and he takes a 1-pin lead here in our first match. We'll return.
Can you see the difference between Firestone steel-belted Trax 12 and other all-season radials? Firestone has special traction bars for pulling power in snow, but they're hidden in the Trax 12 tread for smooth, quiet turnpike driving. Long-lasting Trax 12, the all-season steel-belted radial with traction you can see. Traction 12 months a year. Trax 12, Firestone's lowest-priced steel-belted white wall radial.
How do you grow a great cigar? Master planter Ralph Merrill knows. Plant special Dutch Masters tobacco seedlings in a fertile valley. Control the searing sun with clouds of special cloth. And wait. Now select only the best leaves and harvest them all by hand. That's how Ralph Merrill grows a great cigar. Like the Dutch Masters Corona Deluxe. There really are masters at Dutch Masters.
Next, the precision and grace of the important World Cup Gymnastics Championships. And the world's best get the green light for action in World Cup ski jumping from Innsbruck. 2 world-class events on ABC's Wide World of Sports next.
Three-part wide world of sports today. A beauty. World Cup gymnastics, both men and women's all-around competition, all the beauty and grace, and then all the danger of World Cup skiing, plus a report on Herschel Walker's first collegiate track meet. Marshall Holman getting a strike in the fourth frame. He opened with a double, marked with a spare, and he really responds to any crowd reaction or to his own pleasure or displeasure. So with one pin separating him, if he can strike now, he will take the lead again.
We've seen one type of strike, and all of the types. We've had the trip four, the solid, the swisher, and even the lucky Brooklyn so far.
So back in the lead now is 26-year-old Marshall Holman.
The five-step delivery of Marshall Holman, very methodical. Watch the long slide that Marshall has. There it is, about 3 feet long, very similar to Billy Hardwick, who once dominated the tour in the 60s. And a long slide like that gives you plenty of time for adjustment.
Looking for a three-bagger. All but the six pin as it crossed over once more.
First time on national television for Jeff Morin. He's naturally a little bit nervous, but he's playing the lanes improperly, Chris. And if you do not play the lanes properly, it's like a golf putt. If you don't read the green and hit the putt in the proper place, you're not going to score. Jeff is way too far inside. He should be outside like Marshall Holman.
Okay. '89 to the fourth with a spare up for Jeff Morin, who has won a couple of regional tournaments, his first appearance on our live telecast, and he's looking for that often elusive first PBA title. Bo, do you remember your first?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
Too many years back, though. Jeff Morin trails by 10, spare working, sixth frame.
Oh, he's getting him. Strike coming in the sixth frame for Jeff as Holman is up with a double working. This is our first match, the winner to meet Jay Robinson, the winner of our second game to go against the great Earl Anthony, and then our tournament leader is Bob Handley from Fairway, Kansas. Three pin.
Marshall Holman with one of the greatest styles I've ever seen in the game of bowling. Notice how his head stays so steady and level, his arms swing absolutely in line with the target, close to his body, and a nice lift and turn. Look at that hand rotation all the way around with a long knee bend and a good extension.
He nearly lost it. Can't believe that he almost blew the three pin. He thanks the crowd for being with him. He's from Medford, Oregon. This is a standing room only crowd, and I'll tell you, they love bowling, but I think they're really getting ready for the Raiders tomorrow against the Eagles. They have a quiet confidence here, Bo, that makes me feel good because I'm rooting for Jim Plunkett.
Well, I hope the Raiders do it. They have a great team.
So, a double, a spare, and a strike coming in the seventh frame. 9-pin lead by Marshall Holman. More later.
Nobody has to tell me to get on the stick. With the wide stick, I don't waste time or money. See, Speed Stick deodorant is so much wider than the other leading stick. Gives you effective protection in just a few strokes. And if you've been using an aerosol, look, you'd use up 2 3-ounce sprays and start a third before you'd use up 1 2.5-ounce Speed Stick. So get on the stick.
Makes sense.
Speed Stick deodorant, the wide stick.
By men.
If one Rolaids tablet isn't always enough for your acid indigestion, watch this Tums demonstration. 1 Rolaids and 1 Tums tablet are added to stomach acid. Both neutralize the acid. But on those occasions when your stomach has even this much more acid, Tums can still absorb it. Rolaids can't. Because tablet for tablet, Tums neutralizes 1/3 more acid than Rolaids. For acid indigestion and heartburn, all you may need is this. Tums.
Kick off your Super Bowl Sunday tomorrow with the season premiere of The Superstars featuring Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Olympic hockey stars, Kurt Thomas, and more. From Dr. Che to Ron Duque, start your Sunday with The Superstars. Then the season premiere of ABC's International Boxing, all tomorrow on ABC.
The name Pappas. He's the newly elected president of the PBA. Today, more important, he finished 6th, so he is the alternate in case something happens to one of the 5 finalists here. And Alameda, California, Jeff Morin is shooting in the 7th frame with a strike up, trailing by 9. He could take a 1-pin lead if he strikes right here on the right lane. Seesaw battle, Nelson.
Chris, a tremendous concentration of Jeff Morin. I've seen him a couple years ago. I didn't think he could make it on the tour, but he has not changed his style that much. He has a kind of a herky-jerky style with a high backswing, gets a good knee bend, and a pretty good turn at the line. But notice how his arm doesn't come all the way through like some of the other top players. And I think the way he has improved his game is through mental concentration. He's gone to see a psychologist who's helped him with his mental game, and he tries to think strikes, and he's really been throwing them this week.
Looking for a 3-bagger, shooting in the 8th frame. All but the 10-pin. And speaking of the 10-pin, his roommate, Nick Judges, on the same day that Nelson Burton had a 300. Nick Judges, also of Cleveland, put together back-to-back games of 299.
And he left that exact same hit on both times, Chris. He hit right in the pocket and left his 10-pin on both hits. What a performance. It really thrilled the crowd with back-to-back 299s. Jeff Morin, cross lane, match all even if he converts the spare.
And we're getting the late stages of our first match. The winner to meet Jay Robinson and gets a step closer to the first prize of $12,000. So now with a strike up, this is where Holman wants to cover them all, shooting in the 8th. Well, all but the 7.
That's the hit that carries the best here. The light hit, the scrambler, has been carrying for 3 weeks out here on the West Coast. The reason being, we've hit, as we said, slick at the front part of the lane and very dry at the back end, and light pins. When the players can scramble, they have high scoring conditions. Marshall expected that strike. The match, once again, will be all even through 8 with a conversion.
No problem. Warming up. Off to our right, you occasionally hear pinfall, is Jay Robinson of Van Nuys, California. And there you see the evenness of this match. 156 through the 7th. Spares working for both professionals.
Same type of match we saw in the Miller High Life Classic the first week, the Showboat Invitational last week, and once again our 3rd week here at Mel's Alameda Bowl, a match all even through 8th, a possibility of a tie.
Sliding by, leading the 2-5 on the left lane.
Something you don't see Marshall Holman do very often is baby the ball, not roll his wrist in behind the ball. I think it's because he slammed his hand in that car door. He was not doing it last night, lost his last 4 games to drop out of 2nd and down to 5th or 4th place, and he'll have to roll that wrist and bowl his own game if he expects to win today.
Way to the right of center when he shot that spare was Marshall Holman. So in the foundation frame, a spare for Holman. 2-pin advantage held now by Jeff Morin of Cleveland. Strike up, or spare, excuse me.
All important 9th frame, can hold a 2-pin lead with a strike.
Five-year-old competitor who last year earned $16,750. Been a PBA member for 6 years, but still looking for his first title.
Morin with a tremendous strike in the 9th frame. Used all that mental concentration he was talking about, overcame the tough right-hand lane, now has a 2-pin lead with a strike and a 9 spare. He can shut out Holman.
The winner to meet Jay Robinson, the winner of that match to meet Earl Anthony, who's out early warming up.
Chris, with 1 more strike, he'll shut out Holman. 9 spare, he'll shut out Holman. With anything at 227 or better, the best Holman can shoot is 226. Morin last night proved how good he can be in the clutch. He was bowling George Pappas. He needed 2 strikes to beat Pappas to make the top 5. He went up there and threw him solid in the pocket. That's why he's here today. 1 more strike, he'll move on to meet Jay Robinson.
Well, his style may not be so classic, but boy, is he pumped up.
The scoreboard doesn't know who's throwing them, Chris. When they go in the pocket and they have something on the ball, they're going to fall down. The situation becomes this. With a strike here, he'll shut out Holman. 9 spare. He would still win the match. If he has 8 or less, we could have a tie, or Holman can still win.
I'm sure his wife, Linda, is nervous right now.
Chris, with that spare conversion, he would win the match and shut out Holman. The best Holman can do is 226 with 3 strikes in the 10th, 11th, and 12th. Morin, with a spare here, will have 227. If he misses this single pin spare, Holman could tie. A dejected Marshall Holman knows the situation.
And moving a step closer to his first title with 3 games to go is the man from Cleveland, Ohio, Jeff Morin. Let's hear from the people who are bringing you this week's stop on the Pro Bowlers Tour.
The Pro Bowlers Tour. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Light Beer. Everything you always wanted in a beer and less. And by Dutch Masters Cigars. There really are masters at Dutch Masters.
Jeff Morin has eliminated the veteran Marshall Holman, and now we'll meet Jay Robinson. We'll return with that match and the final score of the first after this.
Today, bowling's more fun than ever, especially with AMF Magic Score. You knock 'em down, Magic Score adds 'em up. So this weekend, why not bring a friend bowling? You'll enjoy it even more with AMF Magic Score.
Is the Energizer just another battery? Is the great white shark just another fish? The Energizer from Ever-Ready Technology. Of all leading brands, nothing outlasts, nothing outperforms the Energizer. Ever-Ready made sure. Your game, flashlight, recorder, they'll tell you, energize me.
The Energizer, energize. For life.
Long life.
They're on their way home Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Watch ABC News for the last word.
Gives a hoot. But Jesse, he's a-giving $500 to $2,500 trade-in on your old car when you buy a new one.
What if it's an old clunker like mine?
Bringing him dead or alive, it don't matter.
What about the down payment?
Use the reward money towards your down payment.
What time's a wasting?
Offer ends February 14th.
This Monday, join KOBI as we once again bring you live via satellite more Pac-10 basketball action from the Tanner Sports Network. This week, the California Golden Bears travel to USC to take on the Trojans. Catch all the excitement this Monday night at 8 on KOBI.
Yes, both men's and women's all-around competition in the World Cup Gymnastics from Toronto, and then where we were a year ago at the beautiful hill overlooking Innsbruck, Austria, for the World Cup skiing in the Springer tourney, and also a report on Herschel Walker, the great Georgia football player, as he's going out for his first collegiate track meet in Philadelphia. That next on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Now, the first game has been concluded. Jeff Morin, a non-winner, has defeated Marshall Holman by 5 pins, 227 to 222, and that means he moves against the number 3 seed, Jay Robinson of Van Nuys, California. So it's a Midwesterner against a West Coaster Beau, and here we go.
Chris, and once again, we're going to have the 2 different styles. Jay Robinson will play the extreme outside line very near the edge of the lane. In fact, almost in danger of throwing one on the channel. Jeff Morin, the inside line, right around the second arrow.
But Jeff Morin with the 2 damaged fingers on his bowling hand with a 227 now. First shot, second game. pin on the left lane.
Chris, we started with a field of 160 players here this week. It took a 216 average for 48th place, last spot in the cash, and a 219 average, the highest in a long time, to make the top 24.
Next week, Grand Prairie, Texas. Spare for Morin in the first frame. And now, a look at 37-year-old Jay Robinson, a PBA member for 14 years, 2 PBA titles, plus the AMF Grand Prix Invitational in 1977. 5'10", 170 pounds, very short approach to the line.
And loves that outside angle.
The 5-pin in the middle.
We talk about the pin action there. It was evident in the 2-4-5 breaking down. And the weight of pins that the players we use on the Pro Bowlers Tour are 3-pound 5-ounce and 3-pound 6-ounce pins. But the pros can really move them. Jeff Morin working on his ball, trying to adjust something for those sore fingers.
With his outside line, Jay Robinson, the match even after one frame. This is our second game if you just joined us. Jeff Morin, Jay's opponent, bowled a 227 to Marshall Holman's 222. Now the winner of this game will go against the great Earl Anthony.
The left-hand lane on this pair from the outside line breaks a little bit more, so Jay should have a good finish on lane 29.
And we had an opportunity earlier to ask Jay Robinson about his style.
Since I'm more of an instinct bowler than the other bowlers on this show, I think the most important part of my game is my release. I can correct some of my bad approach with a good release.
And that time he just turned the ball a little too much on the hooking lane.
The husband of Cheryl Kaminsky, a very fine lady bowler, Jay Robinson.
And Cheryl's off bowling in a women's tournament today, or she'd have been here to watch Jay. Jay Morin has made some adjustments with his thumb hole, not his finger holes, and tightened the hole because the tape was a little loose and he was dropping the ball.
All but the 10 for the right-hander from Cleveland, Ohio.
Chris, the glasses that Jeff wears are special prism glasses. He always misses his spots 6 or 7 boards to the right of what he actually sees, and he had an ophthalmologist make these special glasses for him, and they're geared to sighting out at the arrows 20 feet over the foul line and adjusting his natural sight to fit what he should be seeing. So he actually misses 7 boards to the right, and the glasses make up for it.
Fine cross-lane shot. So Jeff Morin, who won the first game here in Alameda, California, in our live coverage, 227 to Marshall Holman's 222, has a pair of spares in the second game. Now the winner to meet, Earl Anthony, and then the winner of the semifinal game will go against the tournament leader, Bob Handley, a man with an unorthodox style. Well, Morin, who had 7 strikes in his victory in the first game, now has come up with the first split of the afternoon of 4-6-7.
As you can see, the 6 rounds of the PBA tournament, they're the leaders. After 6 games, judges, then Husted, then judges again. Then our tournament leader, powerful Bob Hanley, took the lead after 18 games and continued right on through the 42 games.
4-6-7. So it's the first open frame of the afternoon coming in the third, giving Morin a 45 through 3. 13-pin lead at this moment held by Jay Robinson. Shooting in the third after 2 spares.
Jay's earnings $33,000 in 1980. He's the only player, except for Earl Anthony, to earn over $30,000 in the last 8 years in a row.
So the tour has been good to Jay Robinson, our initial strike of the second game.
The profile of Jay Robinson, an old-timer, really a veteran. He knows all the shots, his ideal position just as he comes into his slide, and he makes those movements with his hand position. Notice he turned the ball very hard on that lane because he had hit light there in the first frame. Now coming up in the 4th frame, he's coming up on the left-hand lane where his ball hooked high. You'll see Jay throw a ball a little bit harder and lift a little straighter through it. He's been a lot of years. He's an experienced player, but he has a tremendous foul line touch.
A double and a 23-pin lead now enjoyed by Robinson.
It's your skin, baby, and I like it very, very smooth. That means a super close shave. So trust Noxzema, because you'll need all the soothing comfort you can get. Like I said, it's your skin, baby, and I like it very, very, very smooth. That feel good? For shaves this close, trust Noxzema. It's your skin, baby.
Excuse me. I'm not the same crazy coach who used to storm around the sidelines yelling at the officials. I've learned to relax, and I drink light beer from Miller. Do you know that light's got 1/3 less calories than a regular beer? And listen to this. Light doesn't fill me up. Besides that, light tastes fantastic. Oh, sure, there are a lot of other beers around, and you can drink any one you want. But let me tell you this.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
As I was saying, I don't care what anybody else...
Next, the precision and grace of the important World Cup Gymnastics Championships. And the world's best get the green light for action in World Cup ski jumping from Innsbruck. 2 world-class events on ABC's Wide World of Sports next.
All the beauty and grace of gymnastics, the thrills and excitement of World Cup ski jumping, and a report on Georgia's freshman sensation as a football player as he moved into his first collegiate track and field appearance, 60-yard dash at the Philadelphia Track Classic. Hoping for his first title, having a little trouble here in the second game. He had an open frame in the third, now shooting in the fourth. Jeff Morin of Cleveland, Ohio. And coming up high, leaving the 3-6-10. Timing has escaped him, I think. Bo?
Chris, as we said, he has an unorthodox type of style, and he concentrates mostly on his mental game. Right now, his physical game is letting him down. He's having a little bit of timing trouble, and he's starting the ball too late and then pulling it through on a swing. When you pull it through like that, you get lack of power and definitely have trouble with the nose.
Now cross lane. No. Chopping the 3-6 off the 10. Back-to-back open frames, and now Robinson goes out to a 34-pin lead. Tough break for the man who won the first game over Marshall Holman, 227 to 222.
Well, he doesn't seem much perturbed about it. He's 34 pins down to a very experienced Jay Robinson through 4 frames, so let's see if he can put it back together. Once again, I'd like to reiterate that I believe the outside line is the best shot. Jeff Morin is really fighting an uphill battle inside line.
Coming up high again, leaving the 6-7.
It's like he just gave out, Chris. He didn't put anything on that ball, no speed or anything. I may be favoring his hand a little bit, but he's just completely lost in all his rhythm. He can still make this 6-7, slide it across lane. He has to go for it at this position.
The odds for a professional 10-1 to convert this split. All right, 3 consecutive open frames. This is what can happen. 63 through the 5th frame. Now Robinson with a double up, leading by 45, can increase his lead here in the second game. The winner to meet Earl Anthony. $55-pin lead by 37-year-old Robinson, replaying his footwork.
5-step delivery, short first step, and watch how he hits the line from the outside. His foot is turned slightly to that outside angle, and that's what makes him so good from the outside position. Jay does not bowl as well inside, but once again, he is an all-around good tour veteran. He can hit anything, and as you see, a commanding 55-pin lead through 5 can increase to 65 on the left-hand lane.
Carefully setting himself on the approach. Now to the line. 4 in a row. Everything working out for Jay Robinson, and let's now go back to Morin of Cleveland.
Next week, the Quaker State Open will be down there with Jeannie Cooper and Bobby Cooper, always great host. Then the BP USA Open, the first leg of our Triple Crown, the Rolaids at Dick Weber's, and then at Jimmy Certon's home house, the AMF Magic Score at Landmark Lanes in Peoria, Illinois.
Sigh of relief for Jeff Morin getting his first strike, it coming in the 6th frame of the second game. You're looking at the winner of the first game, 227 to 222. over Marshall Holman.
Morin has an outside chance if he would strike out from this position. He could go 213, but any time he would miss now would be just disastrous, and Jay Robinson would have a cakewalk.
Tough break, leaving the 10 pin. Bo, we asked him before we went on the air about the fingers, and he said, no, it hurts every time you release the ball, even though you try to mentally block it out.
Well, a lot of the players do have hand trouble, but I think under the pressure of bowling for that big money, it doesn't bother you when you're winning, Chris. It starts bothering you when you start losing.
You mean only when you're trailing by 65, right?
His fingers are starting to hurt more each frame now.
Yes. All right, reaching the midpoint of this second game with Jay Robinson leading by 65.
Ford sets the pace in pickups. And now during the big 81 Explorer sale, you can get discounts of up to $600 off America's best-selling pickup trucks when you buy all these great options, including two-tone paint, special interiors, factory air conditioning, tilt steering wheel, automatic transmission, sporty wheel covers, and more. Right now, get the specially equipped Ford Explorer and get up to $600 off.
Come in now and check out the deals during your Ford dealer's big leadership celebration.
Where can you find someone to service all the parts of your car with the know-how and equipment to check wheels, brakes, engine, suspension, almost everything? Someone who'll give you a written estimate and fix only what you want fixed. Firestone Car Service. That's where. 24,000 Firestone Car Service bays are waiting to serve you for this week's specials. Check your newspaper.
This is Jay Robinson shooting in the 8th frame. A high hit, he gets the strike nonetheless after an open frame when he left the 4-6-10 while we were away. And then he left the 4 pin for an open frame. Leading by 50 as we go to Earl Anthony and Bo Burton.
And with me is Earl Anthony in number 2 position. But Earl today is going to try something for us, and I think the home audience will really enjoy. Earl is wired with a microphone while he bowls. And first thing I got to ask you, Earl, do you think it'll bother you any while you're up there bowling?
No, I don't think it'll bother me, Bo. It might bother some of the people at home if I say something I shouldn't. But I don't think it'll bother me. I don't feel it while I'm bowling. I don't even think about it. So I think it'll be okay.
Does a bowler, Earl, really talk much to himself or to the crowd, or what is your reaction when you're on television?
I don't think most of us really know what we're doing as far as talking goes out there, because you're trying to concentrate, and when you're concentrating, I know sometimes I speak out loud. I might say, okay, stupid, now make this one a good shot or something of that nature, but I don't think you really realize what you're saying, and so sometimes when some of the players say something, it's not because they intended to have it come out that way.
It should be interesting. Back to you, Chris.
Jeff Morin can cut the lead to 40 pins if he can strike here. Leaving the 10 pin on the left lane of this championship pair. Close-up of the disgust on the face of Jeff Morin, who won the first game 227 to 222, eliminating Marshall Holman, who earned $4,000 in the Alameda ARC Open. Now cross lane for the 10. This in the 9th frame. 123 through the 8th, a spare in the 9th, and now Robinson with a strike up in the 8th, shooting in the 9th.
Often people wonder how the TV pair is selected, and really it has nothing to do with the scoreability or what. The championship lanes are selected just by their position in the bowling center. We try to get somewhere near the end of the house where everybody has a good view.
It's a 9 pin on the right lane. Robinson.
An unusual hit. That's the outside line, and the 3-5, 3-6 pin, plastic pin, is not much of a resistance for a 16-pound bowling ball, and the 5 was just chopped right off the 9. Rather unusual, but we see it more often today.
So Jay Robinson has won the second match over Jeff Morin. Robinson now to meet Earl Anthony. That game coming up.
A word to the wise. If you're thinking about an RCA Selectavision video recorder, don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. Buy this magnificent Selectavision 650 now, the one with remote control special effects, and RCA will give you 7 blank videotapes worth more than Franklin. That's $100. The RCA Select Division more than $100 tape giveaway. Don't tarry. Time lost is never found again.
When you reach age 55, you're wanted by Kemper, because drivers your age or older are among the safest on the road. So the cavalry wants you. Kemper offers drivers 55 and over up to a 10% discount now and guaranteed renewal at age 60 and beyond if you've been with us for the 5 previous years. For auto discounts and guaranteed renewal, call out the cavalry. Once you compare Kemper, you'll ride with us.
I can't see a thing, Stan. Did you turn on the windshield wipers? Of course I did. See? No, I can't. Obviously. We need new wipers. We obviously need new wipers.
Replace your old blades at least once a year with Anco, with specially formulated natural rubber for a smooth, clean wiping action.
That's a lot better, Ollie. It certainly is. Let's drive on. Not too fast, Ollie. Might be a school zone.
Things didn't go well for Jeff Morin of Cleveland, Ohio, as Jay Robinson defeated him 223 to 170. And we'd like to invite you to kick off your Super Bowl Sunday tomorrow with the Superstars, the season's premiere, the men's preliminary, from a super new location, Key Biscayne, Florida, featuring Dr. J, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, host of others, even Kirk Thomas, Jim Craig, and followed by ABC's International Boxing season's premiere, 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central, 11:30 Pacific, United States versus Yugoslavia. And here we go into the semifinal match in Alameda, California. Earl Anthony now will meet Jay Robinson, and the tournament leader waits off to our right for that final match worth $12,000 to the winner. So Earl Anthony, 32 wins, Jay Robinson with 2. And if you just joined us, the second match score was 223 to 170 after Jeff Morin defeated Marshall Holman in the first 227 to 222. So here he is, the left-hander, a practice shot on the left lane of this championship pair.
Chris, each player that comes on, Earl, the number 2 seed player, gets 2 practice balls on each of the championship pair lanes. The player that won the previous match, such as Jay Robinson, he gets no more practice balls on that pair, but he can loosen up on the side to stay relaxed. Earl Anthony strictly believes in total offense for the game of bowling, and he has decided, I believe, to start this match because he likes the right-hand lane better, and he wants to finish on the lane that he feels he can throw the most strikes on. There's still one more practice shot, then they'll be ready to go. Earl practicing the 7-pin.
We want to pass along, get well in a hurry, to our old friend and public relations director of the PBA, Bud Fisher, who hasn't been out with us on the tour, going into our 3rd week now, or ending it, I should say. But we hope his ailment is rapidly improving.
What a super guy. We miss him out here. Earl forcing Jay Robinson to start. He feels that Robinson probably can't hit the right-hand lane as well. Earl likes the left-hand lane. This is a semifinal match. The final match against Bob Hanley right after this game.
All right, the man that had 8 strikes in the last game of victory has just left a 2-4-5-7 on the left lane.
The 2 most consistent players in the last 8 years of professional bowling, Jay Robinson and Earl Anthony, heads up semifinal match. That's quite a statistic right under that man's name right there.
And concentrating on the spot, Jay Robinson marks for the spare. Down the man that finished second last week for the 35th time in his career, but he's finished first 32 times. Oh, a powerful strike. And all the left-handers are jumping for joy.
Earl Anthony, in his 2 previous games during the 42-game tournament on this pair of lanes, averaged 228. Jay Robinson had a fabulous 263 average for his 2 previous games on this pair of lanes. So, have to say a slight advantage to Jay, but Earl is mighty tough.
He could go over the 800,000 career earnings today. Leaving the 7-pin, he didn't like it. Let's hear what he has to say about his style.
Well, I'm a 5-stepper. I think the most important part of my game is the ability to change speeds and maintain that speed after I've changed it. going from pair to pair, it saves me from making big adjustments on the lanes. I can change speeds and make the adjustment with my hand and my arm rather than making moves on the approach or on the lane itself.
Earl Anthony covering the 7th pin for a spare in the 2nd. And today's Rolaids bowling tip of the week will be on getting to the line. And Nelson Burton Jr. will be explaining the 4-step approach. You heard Earl say he uses 5.
Chris, basically all the players use a 4-step approach. Just a lot of them like a little extra momentum by adding that first step, making it a 5-step delivery.
Are we bad if we use 6?
No, ask Mark Roth.
All right. So coming back with a strike in the 2nd frame is Jay Robinson, the tournament leader, Bob Handley from Fairway, Kansas. Warming up. He's the tournament leader. He'll meet the winner of this head-to-head match.
Both players, Earl Anthony, Jay Robinson, playing the extreme outside line. As we say, these lanes are very smooth, and after oil builds up in the center or conditioner, it's beneficial to play the best angle to the title. Jay won his first PBA title in 1973 at Denver, Colorado.
Oh, he was hoping for that double, but instead leaves the 4, 6, 7.
The left-hand lane we see breaking very sharply at the back end. Jay expected that ball to set up, or what the players say, hold pocket. But right in front of the 1-3 pocket on the left-hand lane is a worn area. When that ball hits that, it dives through the nose. Disaster. 4, 6, 7.
So it's an open frame. Now a 12-pin lead. Earl Anthony. He has a spare working it. He'll be shooting in the 3rd. I'm listening for that microphone and what'll come through it. No talking.
Back-to-back solid 7s. Earl could have had this match well in hand early, and he only leads by 11 now. Could have had a 31-pin lead if he had carried both strikes. But he's talking to himself a little bit. He's saying, hey, good shot. What can you do? Only put him in the pocket. That's the best play to go.
Still no comments from Earl Anthony, marking with a spare in the 3rd.
Earl, when he often has or sometimes has trouble with his game, will talk to his wife. He said a little tight. What he means by that, he's going to go a little straighter with the ball on this left-hand lane.
Come on, ball, get up.
That's exactly what he wanted, what he said. Come on, ball, get up. But no. 7-10. There's Susie, his wife.
The 7-10. Once again, we said we use very light pins out here on the West Coast. And look at this pin action. Actually, Earl got a bad break because the pins moved too quickly, did not have time to take out the 7 and 10. But remember, we saw this made by Mark Roth here last year.
So Earl Anthony with an open frame in the 4th. 2-pin lead held by Jay Robinson, who'll shoot next.
Got tough congestion? Sinex is the long-acting nasal spray that can give you a second of and 10 hours of instantly. Medicated Vicks vapors penetrate your nose with a powerful feeling of relief. And Sinex decongesting medicine shrinks swollen nasal membrane so air can flow through. You breathe free up to 10 full hours. For tough congestion, get the Sinex extra feeling of relief. A second of 10 hours of
Dial-it has national sports news. It's new, it's rational just to call National Sports for all the latest reports. We're talking national sports news. We've got it all. 900, what a wonderful call. 900-976-1313. 900-976-1313. Dial it. We're talking to you.
Next, the precision and grace of the important World Cup Gymnastics Championships. And the world's best get the green light for action in World Cup ski jumping from Innsbruck. 2 world-class events on ABC's Wide World of Sports next.
Our ABC cameras are in Alameda, California, live, covering now the semifinal game between Jay Robinson, who has a 2-pin lead, shooting in the 4th frame, going against the proven champion, Earl Anthony, the winner to meet Bob Handley for the title and $12,000. With that high hit and leaving the 4-pin, a quick reminder that next on ABC, Wide World of Sports, World Cup Gymnastics, the Springer Tourney, ski jumping from a hill that overlooks Innsbruck, Austria. The World Cup and all the greats will be there. And a report on Herschel Walker, the Georgia football sensation, in his first collegiate track meet in Philly. Spare, the fourth, for Jay Robinson, who had 8 strikes in the previous game when he defeated Jeff Morin 223 to 170.
The top 5 players this week are all using plastic or polyester bowling balls. No rubber balls out there this week, and one of the reasons is the urethane finish on the lane. It seems that the players like to use the polyester ball and urethane finish, and they tend to use the rubber ball more on lacquers. Jay Robinson leads by 2, 5th frame.
All right, and Jay Robinson leaves the 6-10 on the left lane. We're all even now in the semifinal game.
And he knew that when he let go of it. He dropped his right-hand shoulder too far down and caused him to pull the ball across his body. Got a good break, 6-10, cross lane. Got to watch out for the chop, a little extra speed.
Spare in the 5th. For Van Nuys, California's Jay Robinson, actually born in Phoenix, moved to California as a practically infant. And the man from the state of Washington, now bowling out of Dublin, California.
Hit.
Oh, a high hit in the 4-6-10.
Earl has not had a good break yet in the match. Strike solid in the, he's talking to himself. Solid in the first frame, solid 7 in the second, solid 7 in the third, swish in 7-10 in the fourth. The one errant shot resulted in a 4-6-10 split.
You won't see that very often. Back-to-back open frames by 32-time winner Earl Anthony, Jay Robinson, watching.
What has happened is, as the players have bowled today, and it often happens during the tournament, the lanes are quite oily at the front end of the lane, and as the players carry that oil down the lane with their ball, they have to slow up their speed, and that doesn't allow them to hold the ball in the pocket, such as that last shot Earl threw.
Looked like a strike, but...
Oh, I hate this game.
This is Mike Anthony, Earl's 20-year-old son.
The solid 10. Earl, with tremendous power as the ball entered the pocket, drove the 6-pin right in front of the 10-pin. No chance to carry it. Definitely another bad break. No good breaks for Anthony through 6.
So, after 2 opens, now a spare for Anthony in the 6th, and with a spare working, shooting in the 6th, Jay Robinson. Oh, what a beautiful pocket hit. 86 through the 5th, strike up. Jay Robinson, who won the last game against Jeff Morin, 223 to 170.
You can see the outside line that Jay's playing right over the first arrow of the 5th board, and then a sharp break at the back end, resulting in an excellent strike.
And Marshall Holman in the first game was defeated by Jeff Morin, 227 to 222. One more match to go for the title. The winner of this game against Bob Handley.
Robinson has made an adjustment on the approach, can increase his lead by 10 more pins.
So, 21-pin lead now by Jay Robinson of Van Nuys. There's Bob Handley, tall, lanky, the man of the unorthodox style.
And is he something to watch, Chris? I'll tell you, I've never seen a power player quite like him on the Pro Bowlers Tour. You have to watch him play. He's exciting.
And we'll have that chance as he meets the winner of this match. And now, 7-pin.
Well, that worked too, didn't it?
Earl was talking to himself. Well, what more can you do?
RF microphone on Earl Anthony. A very quiet person, anyway.
Except with that bowling ball in his hand.
Mm-hmm. Spare in the 7th.
Steve Martin, our Miller Classic winner. Mike Durbin steady as usual. And my pick for one of the great young stars, David Husted. Dave Capel bowling well. Tommy Hudson out of his slump. Pete Couture continues doing well. Tommy Baker, Burton snuck one in. Bowler of the Year, Wayne Webb, just announced the other day. And steady, Gary Dickinson. Rookie of the Year, Dick Weber's son Pete, finished 18th. Fred Connor, who made the telecast last week. And Dale Glenn and Cliff McNeely bring up the rear.
Another
good
3, 5, 6.
Earl trying to make the adjustments. Bowling is a continuous game of adjustment. You have to remember that whether you're bowling on television or whether you're bowling in league, you have to make the adjustment to the lanes. Earl has made the adjustment back and forth and just can't get a good break.
$25-pen lead held by Earl's opponent, Jay Robinson. That was Earl marking with a spare in the 8th frame. Now with the double up, Robinson can go ahead. 35 pens. The 2-8.
Jay Robinson didn't quite get down at the line that time. It looks like we had the same situation that we had last week at the Showboat. The oil on the lanes carries further down to the back end. The players can't get the ball to finish. That makes it very tough. You can take a nice scoring lane, put oil at the back end, and boy, that ball won't finish at all and have trouble.
Don't forget the bowling tip of the week follows this game, and then the championship match. As you look at the line score, Robinson leading by 23.
Jay Robinson going at a 194 pace. Earl Anthony with strikes in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th could close that down to 191, so the match is not over yet. You can see the average Jay had last year, and this week 224, so quite an increase.
Ninth frame strike for Jay Robinson as we're in Alameda, California, the 8th time that the Professional Bowlers Tour has stopped here, and the 8th year of televising as we're in our 20th year.
Anthony in a must-strike situation. Trails by 23.
No, another split. 4-7-10, and Susie Anthony knows it.
Well, Earl doesn't have very far to go home, even if he loses this match. He just opened a new 40-lane bowling center in nearby Dublin, California.
Odds for the pros to convert this 10-1. Going all out, now trailing by 38, 136 through the 9th.
Well, Earl just had a little trouble with the lanes and start off with a bunch of bad breaks early in the match. He is out of it. Jay Robinson is going to meet Bob Hanley. Should be an exciting match to watch Hanley try to overpower these getting very slick lanes and try to overpower it with that tremendous hook.
Earl, who finished second to Mark Roth last week in the Showboat Invitational, now will finish third in this field of 5 finalists. So take heart, all of you amateur bowlers that have your off days. So Earl Anthony will be in the 150s. We'll give you the final score of the semifinal game as Jay Robinson now will go on to meet Bob Handley.
Inside Firestone's newest 721 radial are 2 belts of steel cord. In each cord, 10 strands of high-strength steel. 7 strands around 2, wrapped by 1. 721. Because it's a metric radial, it can use more air, so you use less gas. We call it the Fuel Fighter, designed to save you more gas than any steel-belted radial tire Firestone has ever built. Firestone's newest 721, the Fuel Fighter.
Every professional bowler has an arsenal of his own, special weapons for special lane conditions. Now, you can have your own arsenal in just 2 bowling balls from AMF. The AMF 3-Dot Classic in hard rubber for normal lane conditions. And now the AMF 3-Dot Classic in soft rubber for lanes that demand more traction. Hard rubber 3-Dot, soft rubber 3-Dot. The arsenal from AMF.
Sunday, it's murder on the Orient Express.
Jesse, did you hear what Paul Phillips is doing?
Well, who gives a hoot?
But Jesse, he's giving $500 to $2,500 trade-in on your old car when you buy a new one.
What if it's an old clunker like mine?
Bringing him dead or alive, it don't matter.
What about the down payment?
Use the reward money towards your down payment.
What time's a wasting?
Offer ends February 14th.
This week on Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, you'll follow a migrating herd of caribou far above the Arctic Circle. I'm Marlin Perkins. We managed to keep up by using aeroplanes and large canoes powered by outboard motors. Some caribou are caught and tagged, so scientists can continue to track these important animals.
Sunday afternoon at 4:30 right here on KOBI. You're watching KOBI 5M Medford.
So here in Alameda, California, Jay Robinson has won his second match with a 210 to Earl Anthony's disappointing 156, thus earning the right to go against our tournament leader, Bob Handley of Fairway, Kansas. That match coming up in a moment. But on our bowling tip of the week, Nelson Burton Jr. Tries and does help to improve your game. Today it's getting to the line. Nelson will concentrate on the 4-step approach to the line. Here it is.
The Pro Bowlers Tour Tip of the Week is brought to you by Rolaids.
Before a bowler can entertain any thoughts about knocking the pins down, he must first get to the line. Today I'm going to show you a 4-step method which will improve your approach and timing. Number 1, the push away. On the first step, the arm should be completely extended with the elbow locked. The left arm moving away from the ball in a nice free position. Step number 2, the arm should be down by the side as close to the leg as possible. Step number 3, a nice full arm swing with the ball not going above the head. Step 4, a nice free swing without a pulling motion from the shoulder and a good release and follow through. Remember the 4 basic items for getting to the line. Out on 1, down on 2, back on 3, release and follow through on 4.
42!
Foul! What a call! What a heartburn. How do you spell relief? Check the board, Coach. R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Rolaids spells relief. Unbeatable relief. Relief Tums can't beat. Relief no other leading antacid can beat.
For comic relief, I put on a frown. But for acid indigestion, I spell relief R-O-L-A-I-D-S. Unbeatable.
Rolaids spells relief. Unbeatable relief.
Now we move to that final match for the championship of $12,000 to the winner. It'll be Bob Handley, our tournament leader, going against Jay Robinson, who has had it easy for the 2 games that he's won, winning by 53 pins over Jeff Morin, and then defeating Earl Anthony a few moments ago by 54 pins, 210 to 156, as Handley and Robinson have practiced here on this championship pair, so we're ready to go.
It'll be interesting to watch Bob Handley try to overpower these lanes. They are slicker than any time I've seen him in the tournament, and he'll have to really turn that ball over to get a good score. Starting the match, Jay Robinson.
There's Bob Handley, 6'1", 165. His opponent, 5'10", 170, Jay Robinson. It's the way to start. So now, with Robinson's strike in the first frame, we go over to a man that's been a PBA member only 4 years. He's looking for his first title. The tournament leader, his first game today.
And and watch him cut it loose. Even the fellow pros sit behind him and are awed. Look where he's standing on the approach, and yet the lane's very slick.
No, the 2-8-10 on his first shot. Nervous shot, getting it out of the way.
He's a bit mystified. The one thing that will slow down the power players is when the oil carries way down the lane. They cannot get the break soon enough to get it back to the pocket. That is what happened to Earl Anthony, and Earl and Bob Hanley starting off the same way. That same ball would have struck any time during the week, but today it left a 2-8-10 split.
So the tournament leader, a former school teacher, Bob Handley of Fairway, Kansas, has an open frame. 9-pin count in the first.
Bob Hanley is a tremendous competitor. He will go after any opponent. Jay Robinson, once again, is an opportunist. We have two of the finest winners on the tour competing for this title.
Third appearance on our telecast last year twice, placing 4th in Cleveland and 5th in the King Louis Open. Overland Park, right near his home of Fairway, Kansas.
All right, some of the tension release. Now, Bob Handley with a strike in the second. We talked to him earlier about his style.
For my game is the final 2 steps, so I can get leverage on the ball, and that gives me better balance. Because I am a power player, I have to have excellent balance or I'll be in trouble.
Now Jay Robinson. Hoping for a double, the shot slipping by the pocket. And he's left the 2-4-5-7.
The lane characteristics starting to show up. The right-hand lane, lane 30 at Bell's Bowl here, being the tighter lane by nature, by the lay of the wood, is really tightening up right now as the final match rolls around. Jay Robinson left the same spare in the first match, and he converted it easily. See what he does here.
Okay. Striking a spare for Jay Robinson. If you just joined us, he defeated Earl Anthony 210 to 156, and then over Jeff Morin 223 to 170.
A good lesson to be learned by Jay Robinson shooting that spare. When you shoot spares, use a little extra speed and not as much power. All you have to do is touch them and be accurate to convert those spares.
Nope, the 4-pin. Shot looked good, Bo.
Well, the left-hand lane finishes a little more crisp. Now, really, when the lanes get what we call tough or more competitive as they are right now, you don't want to beat yourself. Jay Robinson, an experienced pro, he's not going to throw that ball up high or too wide. He's going to let Bob Handley go after him.
Next week, we're in Grand Prairie, Texas.
The adjustment that Bob Handley will make will be a little different than the average player makes. Bob Handley will just put more power on the ball to make it finish more. A player like Jay Robinson will make the adjustment on the lane and on the approach. Handley, being a power and area player, will just put all he's got on it to try to break the ball a little more sharply into the pocket.
They nickname him Hookin Handley. The match is even as a result of that double by the Fairway, Kansas pro.
And what two tremendous shots he made. Here's the profile of Bob Handley. Watch the arm swing at the top. Look at that wrist cupped in that position. Then watch him as he comes down close to his body, releases that wrist with a tremendous slide and wrist action, but he actually turns a little sideways at the foul line. That's a reaction after the ball has gone. Match even, 4th frame. Handley can take a 10-pin lead.
He got a nice tap. Just coming out of the channel, coming up and knocking out the 10-pin, giving Bob Handley, our tournament leader, a 3-bagger in the final match. We'll return. More from Alameda after this.
Sailing a tall ship is an old dream. But
some men still dream it.
All fast! Take your seats off! Put her to sleep! It's Miller time.
Miller time. Time to head in for the best tasting beer you can find.
When it's time to relax,
America's quality beer.
one beer stands clear.
Miller High Life.
If you've got the time, Miller's got the beer.
You can win $80,000 while having the time of your life. Join the exciting fun in Cincinnati at the Hookin Classic for men and women amateur bowlers. No matter what your average is, you can win and have a happy time, too. There were over 75,000 entries last year, some from as far away as Alaska who joined the fun. The Hookin Classic paid out $1.5 million to 25,000 bowlers. You, too, can be a winner. Plan now to enter the Hookin Classic that has paid over $1 million in prizes 6 straight years. Call now. There they are, the finalists. Bob Hanley on the left, Hookin Handley, and steady J. Robinson with the outside line. Well, Robinson now shooting in the 4th frame, a spare working. Handley, his opponent, has put together 3 in a row.
Robinson trails by 10.
Oh, high hit, and it's the 4, 6, 7.
Trying to compensate for the ball not finishing in the 2nd frame where he left the 2, 4, 5, 8, 2, 4, 5, and 7. Jay moved to the right on the approach, started the ball too much to the 1-3 pocket, and has opened with the 4, 6, 7 split. The 3rd time we've seen that today.
Great try on the split for the professionals, the odds 10 to 1. So it's an open frame for Robinson, 65 through the 4th. He'll be shooting in the 5th now. Looking at the line score overhead, the man that won 2 matches, 223 to 170 over Jeff Morin, and then 210 to 156 over Earl Anthony. There's a powerful and beautiful strike. And up to see if he continue his string bow is Bob Handley.
Bob Hanley not eligible for the Firestone Tournament of Champions, which will be held in April this year, has not been a winner on the tour. He would knock out the 52nd man, Fred Connor, who was on our championship last week at the Showboat. Hanley leading by 24, has 3-bagger working, can increase to 34. Watch him wind this one up.
Oh, yeah. 4 in a row. The graduate of Kansas State, former high school business teacher.
Look at that wrist action in the trajectory we're talking about. That ball was laid down on the 15th board, out to about the 3rd. Now look at this sharp break, and believe it or not, these lanes are slick. And as my statistician Palmer Falgren said, Bob Hanley just threw 4 strikes that no other players get. He has put together 4 in a row to take a 34-pin lead strictly through power.
Last year earned $38,000. Thus far this year, $2,920. The winner of this match will get $12,000 today. Not quite, leaving the 2-8, but he was satisfied with that.
One thing Hanley doesn't do is cut him off. He just threw it a little too hard, left the 2-8.
Bob Handley, 4-year member of the Professional Bowlers Association, looking for his first win. The man that stalks the starting line. There they have him, 2-8.
If Hanley has any one problem in his game is getting spares. He opened in the 1st, 4-bagger. Now he has a difficult spare here in the 6th.
Nope. So after 4 in a row, it's an open frame. Now only 20 pins separating Jay Robinson and Bob Handley. Robinson up.
Jay sitting on the bench got a great break. Had Hanley open up, can now cut that lead to 10 pins with a strike here in the 6th.
What a double. Pressure double. Cutting the lead to 10. Evening it up with the strike if he can do it in the 7th frame.
Jay Robinson showing his experience, had trouble on the right-hand lane when it came down to a critical situation in the 6th. threw what the players call a rope or a rocket to the pocket. He didn't play the lane, just threw it as hard as he could to the pocket and has cut that lead down to 10. With one more strike, it'll be all even.
Jay Robinson, father of one child named Liana. Running that one out, but the 10 wouldn't go.
There's advantages to both types of game. Jay Robinson covers most every frame. He should make this 10-pin easily. But then again, the power players such as Hanley, when he gets going, can string strikes. On that particular hit, Hanley most likely would have gotten a strike. Jay Robinson left the 10-pin, but he is more apt to convert it than Bob.
Blew it. Second open frame now for Jay Robinson, winner of 2 games, now in the final against Bob Handley.
I can really pick him today. Okay, Hanley, 20-pin lead.
And you had a 300 on Wednesday, Bo?
Well, I didn't have a chance to miss any spares when you shoot 300.
Look at that concentration. Oh, a high hit. 3, 6, 7, 10.
I tell you what, this fellow's used to him, Chris, so he's left everything in the building some days when he's a little off. But once again, he's opened the door when he could have closed the door on Jay Robinson. He had a 23-pin lead going into the 7th frame, has left himself a difficult split.
14th and 44th in the previous 2 tournaments this year. Went all out, though.
Well, Bob Hanley has a lot of tour experience, but once again, he has a difficult game. You almost have to compare it to a golfer, Chris, who hits the big drives, who's depending on a 300-yard drive, and they tighten the fairways up. He's all of a sudden playing out of the rough all the time. And right now, Bob Hanley, although he has an 11-pin lead, cannot try to protect it. He is an all-strike bowler. He has to go for the pocket, has to be bowled. He has stayed that way even though he has 3 open frames, no spares, and 4 strikes. Still has an 11-pin lead.
There's one for you. What a position of that ball at the beginning.
Match seesawing back and forth. Jay Robinson has been on the ropes a number of times where Hanley could have put him away and has really again opened the door. So with 3 frames left, Jay is only 11 down. Anybody can win.
The ARC Alameda Open. Everything smooth on that delivery. Smooth release, pocket hit, strike in the 8th for Robinson.
What really sets up the last 2 frames is that Jay Robinson is hitting the right-hand lane. That's the lane he'll finish on in the 10th. Bob Hanley has been hitting the left-hand lane real well. That's the lane he'll finish on in the 10th.
He can cut the lead to 1. Great final match with that double. 1 pin separating Handley and Robinson.
A disciplined shot in a crucial situation. Jay Robinson laid that ball right in there, nice and neat as could be. Knocks out the 8-10 as the last 2 pins and has cut Hanley's lead to 1. 9th frame. Hanley has a strike working.
Another pressure shot. An 11-pin lead as a result of this strike.
And look at the revolutions on this bowling ball. Has to have 14 or 15 revolutions with all that speed and the sharp break. Watch the 6th lane of the 10. That's the power taking over the light pin. The situation becomes this. Hanley has his 11-pin lead going into the 10th. He could shut out Jay Robinson by striking in the 10th and 11th, being in the 220s.
He gets a re-rack on the left lane.
If he does not strike, Jay can get up and win the match. Bob Hanley bowling almost a unique game on the Pro Bowlers Tour. No spares. Opens in the 1st, 6th, and 7th. Strikes in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 8th, and 9th. One more, he could take a 21-pin lead. Unfortunately, the machine hit the pin, Chris. You cannot be assisted by any mechanical machine to help hit the pin. That pin would have gone over. Now, a machine cannot touch the pin at all. Here's the pin coming back across the lane. There's a 4-second delay between the time the ball hits the head pin and by the time the machine touches any other pin. There it is, almost over, yet it would have gone if it hadn't been for the machine.
Listen
it has
to the murmur.
be replaced.
The murmur here in this capacity crowd.
Hanley, in order to maintain his lead, must convert his first spare of the match.
.182 through the 9th.
Here's the situation. With a strike, Hanley forces Jay Robinson to strike twice. If he gets 9, Jay Robinson can only strike once, 9 spare, and we could have another tie even in our championship match. Hanley, a possible 2-0-2.
A 2-0-2 for Bob Handley.
There is a determined young man. Jay Robinson, one of the great clutch players ever in the game of bowling. Here's Handley's 11th shot. Boy, he put it all on him. Look at that look on his face. I mean, he wants that one. Say, take it to me, baby. Now, here's the situation. Robinson must strike on the next 2 balls to win the match.
Has a double up, and Hanley looks to the floor. Three in a row. Jay Robinson, Van Nuys, California, and from Fairway, Kansas, Bob Handley, who can only wait.
5 days, 42 games later, Jay Robinson needs 1 strike to be the tournament winner. If he does not strike on this ball, Bob Handley becomes eligible for the Firestone Tournament of Champions. It's a must-strike situation. If he does not strike, he finishes second. Handley wins.
There it is. No, the 2-4.
It's all over. Bob Handley has won his first PBA title. The best Robinson can shoot is 200.
And is eligible now for the prestigious Firestone Tournament of Champions as a result of his first win after 4 years of trying. So, it's a 2-0-2 to 200 victory for Bob Handley, 28 years old. We'll be back.
Ford Escort, a world car. Europe's Car of the Year 1981 award. Winner, the European Ford Escort. Road Test Magazine's Car of the Year 1981 award. Winner, the American Ford Escort. And the biggest win of all, Ford Escort, with front-wheel drive and 4-wheel independent suspension, is now outselling every imported car line in America. Ford Escort, built to take on the world and do it.
If you're looking for a safe place to keep valuables, put your money in this locking security box, now just $8.99, as the hardware value of the month at True Value hardware stores. This fire-resistant box comes with 5 envelopes for filing important papers. You can also store photographs, jewelry, or anything else you consider valuable. And now this steel security box is just $8.99 while supplies last at True Value hardware stores and home centers displaying this banner.
I'm Joe Duncan, State Farm Agent, Cincinnati, Ohio, speaking for thousands of State Farm agents around the country. You know, there are a lot of reasons why people come to State Farm agents and stick with State Farm agents year after year. I think one of the big reasons is service. State Farm built its reputation on service. People expect it, they are paying for it, and we deliver.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The first win for 28-year-old Bob Handley of Fairway, Kansas. Bob Feuchter, president of American Recreation Centers, presenting the check for 12 and the trophy. Stay tuned for ABC's Wide World of Sports, featuring the World Cup Gymnastics Championships from Toronto and World Cup Ski Jumping from Innsbruck, Austria, and a report on Herschel Walker from the Philadelphia Track Classic. Travel arrangements made through, and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. More people fly United to Hawaii than any other airline. That's what friendly skies are all about. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports.